True romance. Is it great? True romance is a strange film that can be a bit hard to define. I suppose it comes close to being a romantic action movie, which isn't something you hear of very often. This film brings a romance to the screen that I haven't seen in anything else to date. A top-notch cast hosts this movie, with each side character being incredibly memorable. Despite the dysfunctional nature of Clarence and Alabama's love, the characters and their passion for each other is inspiring. The flaws of the people in this film overwhelm their other features, except for Clarence and Alabama, who pull each other past those flaws. This is a love story I can get behind, and I think there's more to this story than people might realize on first glance. Let's dive into it and see what it is about true romance that makes it stand out from the crowd. Now, before we get into the romance of Clarence and Alabama, I think it's first important we talk about all of the side characters in this film. All of them are spectacularly well defined, from Drexler to Marty, exhibiting flaws and traits well beyond what one might expect out of a bit character. Each one stands out as being uniquely set in their ways, whatever that may be, from a sniveling assistant to the straight-shooting gangster. Each individual has an easily definable role, yet without exception, everyone we meet in this movie is unhappy in that role. The director hates the mediocrity of his positions, the cops hate the low level of their position, the gangsters are unsatisfied with the amount of money and drugs they're bringing in. Even Floyd, the stoner on the couch, is upset with the way others perceive him. Literally everyone is unhappy with the position that they maintain, no matter how rich, poor, or badass they may be. In fact, the only time people show any hint of genuine happiness is when they interact with Clarence and Alabama. Multiple characters who have every reason to hate Clarence and Alabama state that they like them. I think that's why we open the film in Detroit, because Detroit's such a dark and dirty, desolate city that backdrop sets the tone of the unhappy world that we see surrounding our main characters. True romance tries very hard to show us how unhappy the rest of the world is, right down to the very infrastructure that makes it up. So now that we've kind of explored how upsetting everything else in true romance seems to be, let's start to focus more on Clarence and Alabama's relationship, the core of the film. Now, both of these people are dysfunctional, even insane. We are introduced to Clarence trying to pick up women by talking about how he would have sex with the king, Elvis, which we later discover is a rehearsed speech that he literally spouts off to every girl he meets. I don't think there's much significance to it being Elvis that he obsesses over, more that it's weird, it's kooky, it's crazy, it's something inexplicable to us. Why is it Elvis? We never really find out. He even has conversations with a hallucination in the bathroom that reassures him regularly throughout the film. That, combined with his pretty intense, violent outbursts, paints the picture of a very unstable individual. Alabama isn't any better. Her work as a call girl indicates that she at the very least has some self-esteem issues. But beyond that, the way she reacts to violence is just as batshit as Clarence. When a guy murders your pimp on day 2 of, well, dating marriage, the knee-jerk reaction of making out with him is bad. At least as far as mental health is concerned. We don't learn nearly as much about Alabama as we do Clarence, even though she's the person apparently narrating the story to us, which again kind of indicates the lack of stability in her. I could point out a dozen different things that make both of these two crazy, but honestly I think it's pretty apparent when you watch the film that they're not sane individuals. In fact, they might be the craziest two people in this whole goddamn film. But at the same time, they're the only two happy people in this whole goddamn film. Their courtship only takes 1 day of real time, or 16 minutes of film, to go from meeting to married, which is obviously a bit of a rush. But before we start yelling that's a toxic relationship and writing it off, let's take a look at the results these two get from being together. Sure, they end up leaving a pile of bodies in their wake, but besides Drexler, none of it was really intentional. Everything these two do is to keep together, and honestly with Drexler, if he hadn't have killed him, he probably would have had to anyway when he came looking for her. True romance at its core is a story of the power of love, and I find it pretty charming. Both of these insane people are doomed like the rest of the cast if they stay alone. One a comic clerk, the other a call girl. Like Marty, Drexler, Cody, or Elliot, they would have become set in their position, doomed to experience all of the heartache of the world alone. By banding together, they managed to pull themselves out from this environment and find a happiness that may not be conventional, but it is genuine. Neither of them ever question the love they have for each other. It isn't that kind of film where, oh, boy meets girl, then they break up, then they make up, and then they get back together and happy ending. No, they love each other and they stick to it. It's that love that keeps them strong and allows them to do the amazing things that they manage. Neither of them have any idea what they're doing for the entire duration of this movie. That unwavering love and faith in each other pushes them through each difficult situation. In a way, they embody what love is in its purest form, by choosing to use two broken characters. Tarantino is able to give us a view of what love is at its best. Love can mend a broken mind, raise someone to new heights and give someone a second chance. It isn't important that we condone their relationship. In fact, I don't think a rational person would. I mean, it's obviously crazy. Come on, one day to get married? But whether you approve of their romance or not, by the end of the film they have grown beyond their positions and found a happiness together that otherwise would have been unattainable for both of them. Frankly, this is a far more interesting take on love and the power of it than any rom-com I've seen. So to wrap things up, True Romance is an original take on a love story. It takes the concept of love and uses it as a tool to propel these people through a story that never stops twisting and turning, instead of having the love be the story itself. And it's really refreshing to see a movie that shows love in a less than perfect light, but does so unabashedly. It manages to use romance in a way that you just don't see, and I really wish that we would see more of this, because it's so much more interesting than 50 First Dates or Spanglish or even When Harry Met Sally. Any of those films. I mean, love can be so much more than boy meets girl, boy fucks things up, girl eventually forgives boy. And this is such a unique example of it that it's hard to look at it and not appreciate it for that. Throughout the film, they know that they love each other, and that never changes no matter what's happening. They just needed to steady the rest of their lives so that they could be together. I give this movie a solid 8.5 out of 10. It's something special, well worth your time. One last thing, that's fucking Jim Gordon. Gary Oldman. Right there. Not shitting you, that's him. Like, holy shit, right? Anyway, that's all I gotta say on this one, guys. See ya. True Romance. What a wacky love story.
Yeah, no, I'm a huge fan of the romantic thriller, and this was all of the action, none of the weird erotic fantasy sex. This is the romance that guys like to think of for a romance movie. Not to exclude the female viewers, but you know it.
Yeah, it definitely has something there for the male audience. It's really nice for the genre, and I just really enjoy those characters and seeing that budding relationship throughout.
Not only the budding relationship, but having the gall and casting power to have, Brad Pitt as the stoner on your couch?
That is true. That is very true.
Aces in their places, I suppose.
Yep.
Do you have a question for the millions at home?
Just what did you guys think of the relationship in there? Was it something special? Did it feel a little too much like Joker and Harley Quinn? I mean...
They're together because they crazy. Ha!
Yeah, I don't know. It came off a little bit better than that to me, but some people just feel it's nuts. And what do you guys think? As always, if you liked what you saw, comment, subscribe, give us your opinion, and I'll see you all next time.
See ya!